Now, voting is still underway at the ANC's eThekwini Regional Conference. That's after proceedings were delayed as delegates failed to reach a consensus on whether members of the task team could vote. eNCA's Siphamandla Goge is following this story for us. He joins us live now from eThekwini. Siphamandla, when can we expect these results? We know that nominations have finally concluded and the voting process is officially underway.
I'm not sure whether voting is underway, but I know that delegates have decided to take a lunch break. They are having their lunch now. After that, we are told that they will start voting because the elections agency had to prepare a ballot after those who have been nominated accepted nomination. So I'm not quite sure when we can expect the results, but it will take a couple of hours, as to 2, 3, 4, or 5 hours. With ANC processes, you may never know, but safe to say this evening or early tomorrow morning we expect to have the results announced. And those results really concern the top 5 officials of the eThekwini region of the ANC. Those who have been nominated and have accepted the nomination include the likes of Zandile Gumede, who's vying for the powerful position of the regional chairperson. Thabani Nyawase is contesting for that position as well. But I've spotted one interesting gentleman who is a friend of the conference, I'm told. His name is Sandile Zungu, a well-known businessman. Baba, thank you very much for your time. Let's talk about your status at this conference, the friend of the conference.
Well, it says I'm an unvoting delegate. I'm a friend of the conference. Of course, eThekwini is a very important structure of the ANC, arguably the biggest region in the country, and you can imagine the stakes are very high as to what the outcomes would be, not just in terms of elected outcomes, but also in terms of dialogue, policy kind of positions. I was obviously here for quite some time now, and the conference has gone as expected. It was going to be not smooth sailing, but we are here now.
There's been, I wouldn't want to say controversy, but attention and interest in your participation, particularly being seen with those who support Zandile Gumede, who's vying for the powerful position of the regional chairperson. Some people say you have endorsed Zandile Gumede. Have you endorsed her?
The most interesting thing is that since I was approached to consider standing for chairman of the province, I've been talking to as many people as I could, including the likes of Thabani Nyawase, including Zandile Gumede. And my interest in eThekwini has been, couldn't we have a unified, slate, as it were, that brings the best from both sides of the divide? And I invested quite a lot of time talking to both parties. Individually, I've spoken to Nyawase, I've spoken to Zandile.
What was the attitude?
The most interesting is that the rapport between these two comrades is really very good. They get on exceptionally well at an individual level. And they were very open-minded about the possibility of something unified. But something often happens once they talk to their lieutenants. One could say there is probably a great level of mistrust among the two factions. I call them factions because they are indeed factions. The best leaders will emerge after the voting. And what I got was an in-principle commitment from both of these leaders to say they will work in support of the collective that will emerge, even if that collective emerges from outside of their slate. And that's very good for the ANC to know that this region, post this conference, will emerge a leadership that will be supported by the other.
Are you still available to contest for the position of the provincial chairperson of the ANC should you be nominated? There was a report that you have considered to stop your campaign, if we can call it that. Will you be available moving forward?
What I did say at the time that I concluded my consultations, which took me a good 8 weeks, was that I am not going to contest, I'm not going to campaign. However, if there was a proper and a well-grounded view that I'm best suited to serve the ANC in whatever capacity, it doesn't have to be here in the region, it doesn't have to be in the province, it doesn't have to be even national, but I want to serve my people at some stage, at one stage or the other. And that time will come. I've stated before that when I turn a certain age of 55, I'm 55 now, I'll want to consider a career change, go into diplomacy, go into philanthropy, academia, politics, and entering the political arena is still an option for me.
Which means we could see you contesting in the near future, as early as this year.
It is absolutely and entirely possible, but it's certainly not in the plans from my side.
Let's talk about this conference. Many people are worried that most of the time has been spent on discussing leadership and elections that have not taken place. You are a businessman. You are concerned about issues of business opportunities for young people, women in particular, and Africans in general. Policy issues have not been discussed here, and time is running out to deal with those issues. Are you worried that ANC conferences are focusing on electing leaders rather than discussing socio-economic challenges and policy issues?
It started quite some time ago. The most successful policy conference was probably leading up to Polokwane in 2007. It was held in Nazareth. Very useful. The policy conference thereafter were really about joking, seeing what faction needs to put what positions on the table to give itself an advantage, and that sorry state of affairs continues even today. I do not believe that any of these delegates are as anxious about putting forward policy positions as they are about seeing their chosen slate emerge. And trust me, the ANC will be going to a national conference in December. I suspect that it will still be the same. People will be interested in who emerges. And it's become a rolling set of inefficiencies that will ultimately reduce the ANC into just a leadership machinery with no substance. And that has to be changed, and it has to be changed even here at KwaZulu-Natal as a province.
Thank you very much for your time. That is Sandile Zungu, well-known businessman and non-voting delegate at this ANC eThekwini Regional Conference, clarifying some of the issues there as we take it back to you in studio.
Thank you so much for that, Siphamandla Goge.